Yeah.
So you want to introduce yourselves, or shall I introduce y'all?
Yeah, well, I'm just going to try to, figure this out because we don't usually do a trio. This is the first time you guys are getting treated. Our drummer had to go, and then last night we had to figure it all out. How are we going to do this? And since I got some beatbox experience, we wanted to have this versatility of having the beats, but also having the harmonies, because like I said, my name's Rebelinx, and I moved up north, and this is the first time being up in the northern BC, as I was told, because I moved to Prince George, but there's a lot of haters in Vancouver. Yeah, that's what's up. That's what's up. But as I was telling Glenn, it's been about now a year and some, and I was given a lot of this kind of anxiety from everybody, not wanting to get out of the concrete jungle. And since I've, a year and a half, I'm a city boy at heart, but I really appreciate now more so the people because, especially out here, because they actually come out and you actually get compensated well for what you do, where in the city you would think that's the place where you get compensated well. And it's unfortunate. I live in New York, and the jazz guys are picketing the Vanguard, the Blue Note, because the local people aren't getting the same respect as the people that's coming into the city are transient, the musicians. So in saying that, I got my boy here all the way from Brooklyn, Andy Berman in the house on the guitar. Yeah, and I ran into Andy like years ago when I decided to also jump out of Vancouver and just go habitat in New York and make the album called Destiny, which I'll play some songs from that album. And he's the first time outside the concrete jungle, so we just did a show at Arts Wells, and that was dope because I didn't know we were 4,000 feet in the sky, because the last time we did a show, with me and Andy, we were in Bulgaria, and we did a show at 7,000 feet, So it's just the ironies of, but we are in these kind of environments where there it's the environment of the whole Dracula, it's like our Carmana Valley, it's a spiritual valley. So, but it's a treat to kind of let them expose them again to, and then you have another one that's further east. We got Tony Cachero in the house, and he looks Japanese, isn't he? He's all the way from Birmingham, UK, and also, they say, why would you come up north? There's only two things, either money or love, and both of us is love, right? Because we didn't know about the money thing. But nonetheless, we ran into each other because what happens when somebody like you want to find somebody eye candy that you can relate to, people that look like you, and as a comfort zone, right? And we just met at the gym, and I didn't know that he has also a world of experience. So he's the newest member to the band, The Massive, and now he's kind of like really kind of vamped up our music because he's a professional sound designer. So he doesn't only work with sound; he actually designs a spot like this for good acoustics. So we all have a mic, so hopefully they'll talk for themselves. I'm just doing this roundabout intro with the stories that I have and how I've kind of come together, and in continuing that. Now that I'm here, I always leave. Last year I left for New York, and I had some shows in New York, and I didn't see this land, so I applied this year, and this time I got around. I came to here, and Smithers, never been to Smithers, and Wells, and I was in Chetwynd before that, and Williams Lake before that. So I've actually discovered in the year, I've been in Vancouver since '88, on and off, and this is the only time, if you can do the math, 30 years, that I've actually discovered up there, and I've discovered more than I have in my whole entire 30 years. So this is a beautiful country, just driving here, it's just not boring. There's a lot of twists and turns, so I'm enjoying that exposure, and it's allowed me to write songs like Far Away, Rockaway, or embellish on it, because actually this Far Away Rockaway was written in New York, and I had this tendency going to New York to write the last album I did in New York, and this album's called The Rebirth, and with me, I had a kidney transplant. That's what I'm talking about today. Hopefully that'll encourage people that never give up. It's been also 30 years that I came out west, and as soon as I came out west, I lost my kidney. So I had to kind of deal with it as a kid because I was ironically training for the Olympics as a decathlete, and I walked into that. I was at McGill studying there. I got a scholarship at the film school, and I walked in, and they said, oh, and they were surprised I was walking in because my kidneys were 98% dead, and I should have been. But further, when I talked to naturopaths later on, they say, well, you don't have only 2 kidneys, you got 6 kidneys. What you tear out in your mouth, defecate, your pores. Because I was an athlete, I was sweating all the time because your kidneys slowly die. It doesn't just stop, it's a slow. And the reason why mine went bad is not because of family or anything, it's because it was an overproduction of white blood cells. And white blood cells are like the defense of the body, but when they don't know what to attack, they end up attacking. And the first organ of defense is your filter system, so is your kidney. So it was a twist of fate that I had gone through that, even though I was a picture of health. And I realized it was a blessing in disguise because I wouldn't be here at the click. I was going on I was more of a jock, and when I came out west is when I really actually discovered art and ran into artists. Vol likes lots of fine artists, and had my own gallery. At the time, Vancouver, the Georgia Strait used to say, gallery rises above the west, because coming from the east, we couldn't drink after a certain hour out here. We're in the east, in Montreal, there's no time limit. Well, it's probably 4 o'clock, but. So I started a speakeasy along with a couple other artists, and we were called the Soul Art Gallery, and that was in the early 90s, and we had quite an impact on the city because we were putting art up. And what happens, a restaurant started featuring artists in their place, because they used to come at our place thinking it was a bar, but it was a speakeasy gallery. But we set it up so that when you walk into the space, we were right at the steam clock, if you know where that is, and where they loiter and litter now. Right above, right on the top floor, so you could see we had a great view. Our entrance was the alley, and it was an old cage, and we started at 1 in the morning when the bars just closed, and we were always loved for that because a lot of the waitresses and the bartenders need a place to go, so they would come and hang out, and people that was speakeasy. I don't know if you know what a speakeasy or booze can, but it's a place where you can drink after hours. Would think that it's just a hole in the wall to drink, but I built a stage, and all the Vancouver jazz guys used to come to. So I used to host jazz because I was a jazz head. So that's some of the history that that I've come through here now, and I could tell you more stories, but I'm gonna let those guys talk some more, and maybe go into the album. This song was a funny story because I was in New York during Hurricane Sandy, and anyways, that happened after. But I had a room without a view, living in New York, and there was a cat next door, and it got into the system when I was recording because in my Porter studio. And so the title of the song is called Pussycat Meow. Tony Kashiro. Andy Berman on the guitar, you know. Thank you, thank you. Yeah, so that's Pussycat Meow. It's, We have a really nice recording of it, live performance at the Bulgaria Festival. You can go online, Rebelinx.com, and check out the video. It was amazing being asked to perform as the VIP artist in Bulgaria, because I had just released the album in 2014, and my mission was to go and make the album in 2012, as I said, and then thereafter I traveled to Vancouver and worked out with some of the guys like Joey Turco from Balaclava, one of the bands of back in the days in Vancouver, and also Devin Metro Martin. He's a rapper back from my hood, actually. My hood is in Malton. You know, I got to big up my Malton peeps. I haven't seen you guys in a while, and I'm hoping that you guys will open your arms to me again, hopefully when I roll through in TO with the new album. And then I went to London, and I hooked up with the guys of Louis Vega. He's a big jazz artist. DJ artist in New York, Masters of Work. And he put me onto some of his people that I was able to master down in London and Chelsea, I believe. So it was quite a journey for the album to go through. And I hadn't really the skills of making an album, but I actually did most of the work producing the album. Previous to that, I had made some music with Chris Guy, or we call him Clev, and he was out of Hipposonic Studios. Hipposonic had a lot of artists that, like, you know, the Rascals back in the 90s. Their biggest artist, I guess, was like Swollen Members and Nelly Furtado. So those people came through the ranks. And the funniest thing is that we had no money. So the only thing that we could make our albums in, it was the broom closet. So they gave us the room, so every day we'd see all the stars there, get all the nice A and B room. And what are you guys doing? Oh, we're just practicing over in the room over there. Lo and behold, it was a broom closet. That's all we could afford. But so those albums they're linked to the Destiny album on iTunes and things like that. And that was quite funky. And I did vocals then. So now I'm working on my new album, and I'm actually bringing back vocals. Back then I was doing a lot of beatbox, and I learned to do the beatbox when I was in Montreal, and I went to Paris to study at the Sorbonne Paris 8 for film, because I was always a film guy. I only became serious about music in 2012 when I went to New York. So we were there, and my communication in French was terrible, but the beatbox was good. So I was able to communicate through the beatbox and the sax, of course. And so now I've kind of come full circle in doing some beatbox, and the next song on the list, I'll probably not only do beatbox, but I'll do some vocals.
For me?
Oh, wait, say that again.
Do you have any questions?
No, there's no questions for you. Okay, it's all about me right now. Okay, you'll get your turn. No, I'm just kidding.
I can ask if anybody in the audience does have any questions specifically for Tony. Let's no, okay, yeah. No, now it's about Tony. No.
It's always about Tony.
Denny, you guys have anything you want to ask? No, we can just let him keep going. Oh, Gemma has a question. I'm going to try a whole new microphone situation, so bear with me. Hold this for 1 second. Let me make sure that it actually exists. And go for it.
Yes, go for it.
Yeah, go for Gemma.
Yeah, all right. I'm just curious about the collaboration process. So it sounds like you guys met at different periods of time, and just how you all come together and work, and whether you like write your songs or bring your own different styles of the music that you do perform and play.
I'll answer that, Tony.
Got it.
It's gonna be me and Tony all week. I'm gonna duke it out. Put your bets in. Well, the funny thing is that it's always been like accidental. So it's accidental with Andy, if I tell you the story of Andy, because when I did do that album in 2012, I was ready to perform the album. I got a gig in New York on the 2014 to do the CD release. I needed a band, so I put an ad in for a band, and then I got all these people come through, and I had my main keyboardist at the time was Jonathan, and big up to Jonathan over there in the Big Apple, and he was had a place, a space that we were auditioning all these acts, and we went through the whole. We were looking for guitars, and we went through the whole. Yeah, so we were like, oh, yeah, oh, maybe, like, so that kind of thing. So we ended the day, and we said, Andy, where's Andy? Andy. Okay, there's no Andy. He didn't show up, so we're just gonna go. So we locking up, leaving. All of a sudden, you got this guy. He comes in, and he's like, hey, what's up? And we're looking at him like, oh man, he's a rocker. He's like, he's because we wanted to do jazz, and he's like, oh, okay. And Jonathan's looking at me, oh, should we give the guy a chance? Because he's late. And I said, okay. All right, so we went back in the room, and then all of a sudden, he don't know this story? And then all of a sudden, he said, well, what do you want me to play? I said, yeah, this lick here, we're doing this thing. And then all of a sudden, he played, and it was over. We were like, me and Jonathan, you're hired. It ended up like that. So that's how it was like a funny story. And then Tony, as we mentioned, we were just working on the gym, and then it wasn't until a month later that I knew Tony was a musician. We just saw I started doing a reggae night over at Nancy O's too, something I didn't do before, because there was a niche needed to be filled, and I said, my girl was like, you got to do a reggae night. You got to do a reggae night. And I said, oh man, I'm Trinidad. What do I know? But then I grew up around a lot of Jamaicans, and everybody thinks I'm Jamaican. And my girl always gets mad. He's not from Jamaica. He's from Trinidad. It's like the stereotypes that you go through. But it's ironic that I did grow up with a lot of Jamaicans and Italians. Jamaicans and Italians. So my nickname, funny enough, was Blackie back in the day. So why? Because I never liked to comb my hair. So I had these little black pepper grains, and that's how dreads start. Because I wasn't thinking Rasta, even though I was hanging out, never smoked no ganja. I was the athlete, right? So I always had clean living, and it's just come full circle around now. It just the shoe fits, right? I'm doing the reggae night. I've always been playing reggae, and it's just jazz is what I was brought up in, but my community was a lot to do with the music of the island. So it was a natural transition for me, and I had all the gear too. Because my little black pepper knots became dreads because of gravity. I didn't comb it. Right? That's how it happens. Dreadlocks don't just appear. Don't comb your hair. And yeah, you just might need a little bit of sticky stuff. Anything sticky. But with the curls, the dreads form, and this is the third time I'm wearing the dreads because I tried to get rid of them many times. So, but in saying that, I was up here in the north, and I started these shows, and to the blessings of Tony, he was able to come and support me because I was trying to get black people to come out, and I realized that black people up here don't come out; they go to their backyards. You see. They don't engage with the community. It's what they do. We have a lot of African community, and they also do that. They go to the homes, and so they just transition. So I'm going to a church that's predominantly Nigerian church, and finding some other Jamaicans in the church. So to come out and support the reggae night, and it's happening slowly. The establishments of bars are not really appealing to people that are part of the faith, but for the support of the music and the culture, it's a very good place for it because there's a lot of culture. When my girl told me we're moving to Prince George, she showed me a picture, and it was like, wow, it's all about, there's no buildings. It was all sky, and it was trees, and it was like, and it was a dark cloud sitting over our house too, so it wouldn't help. But nonetheless, I've come full circle, and I've been able to enjoy going. I went back to the city, and I love it up here. And then there's community here up north. So all these are great eye openers for me, and now I've got these guys, to kind of journey with me over here to Smithers, Arts Wells, and all these other places to spread the love of the music. So I'm gonna get back into more music. I'm itching to play. So this is, like I said, transitioning to vocals, and this is one song called "Broken Pride." Broken pride, but more got a sense to slow. And even there's a way to give them hope, man. Give them the lowdown, sanctify, bullet fly, all that wasn't real. I said the warm of the real broken heart, in the warm of the rest you see, baby. Wouldn't advise it, would I? Wouldn't the rest obey? Go on, control yourself, walking on, and then praise the name of what thou will be. Wouldn't look their songs will be. Never thought the world would be, and there's a man stop the world to change. I get a load of something, and they want it for me. And a grown man laying, this is where I'm at. And when it starts swaying, don't cry, mercy. Let now when I don't care, don't come. Living lower than a dog, all that buzz, crying crazy girl. Then I'm faced with all those damn somewhere to call you down the wrong way, fancy done way, done out for now I'm involved in the bloody love war. He don't want war, he don't want a woman. someone gonna call you. Somewhere going and down the wrong way, fancy done way, done out for sin. Not all involved in a bloody love war. Hate all war, hate all war. What are we living? Yeah, your battle's on the real done, and another son died. You won't wear no clothes, ran on cars, war on race, when it falls, when it matters. When I fly, don't tell them I'm here now. And then along came along, tell my baby don't fade now. Can't afford to waste it all night. Oh. I said I'm all banged around, bang. Angels by order in pain. Yeah. So yeah, so I've been, you know, yeah, yeah, it's all these toys, and that's what happened when you come up north and you don't have your people around you. You end up creating all this wiring. You know, I'm always wired. I'm wired. The album image right now is a bunch of wires coming out of my head, out of the TV box. You know, I created that image like a long time ago, and it's just poignant to how art mirrors life. Because I can do the harmonies, I used to do the keyboards, I used to do the bass, and now that I can point to my inspiration, Mr. Tony Cachero, I let him say more about how he encountered me and how he fixed me, or he's fixing me. What do you think, Tony? Is that kind of correct?
Yeah, I think things are getting better day by day. And well, I've played live for years, and I played with a lot of musicians. And I started working in the studio as a music producer. And at about 1995, I was working with EMI as an independent music producer. And I learned a lot from other musicians and producers that I worked with. And then we did a show. We did an African concert, Benson and Edges, UK, went all over Africa, like Sierra Leone, Nigeria, and so on. And I worked with a lot of artists there too, produced albums in Africa and so on. And I was kind of curious to learn more. So after being a music producer and so on, I decided to go into acoustics. And I went to study sound engineering and production. I majored in acoustic engineering in Birmingham City University. And which kind of confused a lot of things, because now you're playing and then you're working in the studio, and now you're going to be building the studio. Because that's the last project I did, like a test, this was like building an acoustic place like this, and you have to test, you have to soundproof and do so on. So, and when I met Lynx, he was kind of really good in a lot of things too. So I said, you got to tone it down. Yeah, because he does the DJ, he plays the sax, and then, you know, do the beats. I like, yeah, guy, you need to tone it down and then get some guys, work with them, and yeah, we can learn from each other and then put things together. So we started working, and it's a little bit difficult for someone to let go, and that's why you still have all these things plugged together here. You still have its effects, its everything. It won't let you do it. It's doing it here. So yeah, but things are getting better, and the band was we were 5 guys, and I think the other guy dropped out because it wasn't. It was a family matter. He has to stay with his kids and so on, so he couldn't make it. And the drummer, same. So we thought, how are we going to put this together? And then we have to go back to East style. That's what we're doing now. So it's not a bad thing, it's good. So if you have any other question, that's me.
Let's play.
Andy doesn't want the mic in front
Well,
of him.
I need, he just stopped, so gotta space it up.
All right,
Play,
so anyway.
Hold on here, bud. Carry on.
When I was doing all these toys, it was to serve the purpose of not having the harmonies involved. I did pre-record a lot of stuff, and one of the tunes I'm going to do next is it's called "The Only Love," and it has all this musical mouthing and beatboxing, and I tried to contain it all in a loop. So I'm just gonna. And this song, I always say that it did come in a dream, so it has a lot of messages, and I think a lot of the words that I'm talking now is message related. So, anyways. This is 97 point. CK what? CK you got it. This is the Rebelinx coming with a little only love. Arrow. Only love. Oh yeah. This is 91. CKU. What? You on the airways of the Rebel Line 99.0. CKU Smithers. Where we at? From the most vulnerable Yeah, that was. I'm having a hard time hearing myself, but yeah, thanks. So that was off the last album, Destiny. And like I said, you can go to Rebelinx.com. Funny thing about getting this is better now. Now, here we have arrived. It's like, oh, here it is. Oop, there it is. Yeah, the Lynx is actually short for Lincoln, and it's funny because as I gotten this gift of life as with the transplant and celebrating 10 years, this is what I'm doing. I'm doing the album because I'm celebrating 10, well, really 30 years as a person living with kidney disease and having gone through a lot of the crazy. A lot of people know me in Vancouver in the medical world because I had a couple things. I had a huge aneurysm on my wrist because this is what they call a fistula. And a fistula is when they take two veins, they cut one, and they put two on one. It creates a large vein, basically. It expands. So they can get needles that are big like that to put in there and go to a machine that cleans your blood, which your kidneys does 24/7. This you have to do every other day for 5 hours. And for a person that's my size, 5 hours is probably, you're running at a certain pump speed, so basically it's pumping the air through the dialyzer, and this is what we do to survive. I've gotten 30 years extra, so that's why it's called a rebirth. It's celebrating that journey, because a lot of times I would get myself into, I got this disease. There's a message behind it, so I have to get out. I don't stick around and woe is me. I pretty much go out and live life, so I've lived it on the edge throughout this time and drive my nurses and doctors crazy. And let me give a shout out to the St. Paul's. They put up with me, and I give thanks that they're still there with me and keeping me strong with this kidney. And yes, I gotta give a shout out to my lady, Doreen, and for just kind of supporting me through this. And we met in strange, like all my meetings of people, I meet them when I'm not looking, and they say that's true love is when you're not looking. So, and she's been here at the same time when the kidneys came. She came, so we're also celebrating 10 years together. And it's a beautiful that I can share this story now with everyone. That when I say that, talk to, get sign your donor cards and things like that. That used to be automatic, but now it's word of mouth really. And I'm living proof of the success of having had this extra time to put together music and spread the love to the world. So I give thanks to you guys also, for Click, for Glenn, and Megan, and all the other people that keep this place hopping with music, make a little talent. It's a train. It's like, it's a different train that comes through, literally. This is 3 of us now, so we're gonna get into another song, and
we could do some reggae.
we spent last night going through beats, so I think we picked a beat for our reggae song. And this is also off the new album. It's coming out hopefully this year. We're going to try to get at least an EP out for the masses. maybe 5 and 5. That'll mark 10. So without further ado, this is called Jiggy Boom. It's all about dancing. So feel free to, guys, get up and shake yourself. All right, let me go into this. I'm gonna start it low and yeah, 'cause it's gonna pump. Oh, yeah. Oh, oh, yeah. And I've been watching and waiting on you, yeah. You lift me up, and my my soul's on fire, burning with desire. I just want a jiggy. Believe me when I say I wanna get what you back. I wanna bring that groove out, make your body move everywhere. You got that style, it drives me wild. The way you do your thing, and it go like this. I beg a jiggy, baby, mumba, mumba. I beg a jiggy, mumba, mumba. I beg a jiggy, mumba, all night long. I beg a jiggy, mumba, mumba. I beg a jiggy, oh, yes, all night long. But you left me up, oh so high. There's that feeling, it feels alright. I want to guide you on and hold you. And here we want to say, oh, come on. I beg you, give me big old bubble. I beg you, give me big bubble. All now, I beg you, give me big bubble. I beg you, give me bubble. All night long. Jiggy, yeah, keep dancing. But you said right, that's all I wanna do is ride. I'm feeling, I'm thinking of you. I think alone as I bring my hands, but I hope over and that I so be obliged not to say yeah. I said, bit home, but I truly want to go on. I said, I beg I get one more. Oh yeah, I beg I get. I said that all night long. I beg I get one more. I get little baby, yeah. Oh yeah. Eddie Berman on the guitar, come on, Eddie. Yeah, give it up, man. Hey, oh, come on. Cause I am lucky to be a kid with you in your life. These precious moments of love bring you in our life. No matter how we go astray, our love will last the test of time. Let's keep the faith for a chica baby, this son of a chica baby that a chica baby rhythm on the rhythm so fat on them on for the dance we have a hill of woman and then all of the woman gonna add and pull up a baby chicken and a chica baby that a chica baby rhythm on the rhythm so fat on them on for the dance we have a hill of the man and then all of them gonna add and pull up whoa whoa way oh Tony Cashel on that keyboards, come on. Cause time is ticking, slipping away. The world is changing, rearranging every day. But love is stronger than pride, so hear this vibe. You are always, 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 always on. I beg a chicken, baby, mon babo. I beg a chicken, mon babo. I beg a chicken, mon babo. I beg a chicken, I beg a chicken, mon babo. Beg a chicken, mon babo. Yeah. I beg a chicken, I beg a chicken, I beg a chicken. I did the chicken, I said the baby chicken, I said your mother chicken, I said your papa chicken, I said your brother chicken, oh let me see your dog a chicken, I let you see your cat a chicken, I see your cousin just a chicken, come on, a chicken, baby, baba. Kid, it's a Rebelinx style. Coming with the jiggy style. You know, and the click style. Wow, up in Smithers with the Rebel crew, massive. Come on, 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 come on. So that's Jiggy Boom, Jiggy. And it's funny how songs just try to kind of come together with everybody's interpretation. Because I always explain the song as a Jiggy Boom because Jiggy is kind of these slang that you get from a lot of countries that have slang, and Jiggy is something I just made up, but it says everything. And I was, at the time trying to coerce my wife, and she's all about, my part when I say she should rise, it's like, you gotta romance me. So, when you're in 10 years in a relationship, it's all about the romance. So I'm working hard on that.
So I'm just going to say a little something for listeners online. This is Smithers Community Radio 93.9 FM. We are Facebook live streaming this. And this is the workshop with Rebelinx, and they're going to be on our Deck Fest stage tomorrow night. I believe they're going to start around 9:30, something like that. So definitely come on down. It's a free concert on our outdoor stage. And yeah, we've got about 10 minutes left, so maybe if anybody had any thoughts, questions, and or if, yeah, you guys had something specific you want to end on.
Yeah, I'm trying to promote the songs from the new album, so I have another song called Lovejoy, and it actually speaks to my lady, and I try to mention her as much as I can. She says, "Make sure you talk about me, so then leave those women will leave you alone." It's like I put a ring on it. We're not officially married. We're just as a recognized on common law or something like that. But I as a person, when I met her, she was educating me, because I've never been with someone that long in my life in a relationship, a partnership, and I'm not thinking of it as years, and she does. She kind of points it out to me a lot, and I think it's a friendship first, and we definitely communicate a lot. And I think that's what keeps the bond going, is the conversation, having a conversation. But you also have to let your partner breathe, so you have to be able to go away and come back. So some of these songs, I speak about that legacy, and just having the support that she gives to me to allow me to do the music is incredible. So thank you, Dory, for looking out for me. So this is called Lovejoy. It's part of it. Satisfy yourself, you tell me, all across this country, something to satisfy yourself. Take the time, join pause in the day. One thing will force away, and then the song will sing. Let alone a man get in line, get on board. Get some people don't cause it. Get in line, get on board. Subtle feelings bound to fall in your head. Scapegoats with the wrong. One time coming, started when it could. When I picked up on the tail for you. And then it finally brought beautiful day. But it slipped away, don't want this pain to fly. Get up off and tend to drop it from the thing. We all pumped in on the down. That's the way it was good. And then we down. And then we down. Come on, tell me now. Get in line. Oh, yeah. Get in line for me.
Hear me now. We buck that. Walk sucker with us off the woods so black to the brink. A ripple lay down, y'all dig it. Make it something real we can all talk about. Then plan, focus it down. Trouble underground. Once on the record, baby, never come up. I said the once on the record, baby, don't throw back. Maybe now. Every line comes in the song. And there's no beginning. Oh, no. Being fair. Exactly the way it goes. Nothing's gonna change. All's gonna win. Good for the baby. Don't think girl talking about you. I'm thinking about the best path. Moving on another door. Then you come down. Here we go again. Get in line. Get on board with love. Keep it up. Get some people know the content. Get in line with me. Get on board with love. Keep it up. Get some people know the content. Gotta know the cause. Come on down to the click. Yeah, we're gonna be rocking it out Friday night. Get some more Rebelinx and all the other. Man, it's gonna be like doing it. More than hear the music. The weather's gonna be nice, so run out Friday night, TGIF. Lovejoy. Are we still on?
No,
still
yeah, we're
live?
still on the Facebook feed, so I'll just thank the folks one more time, and then we'll say goodnight and tell them to come on back tomorrow. Yeah.
Come on back. Come on back.
I was gonna. Oh, wait, everybody! Andy's gonna say something.
That's all I have to say.
Yeah.
Come
You
back
know you want to
tomorrow.
say something.
Yeah, it's good to be here. We're gonna play for you tomorrow.
Sounds good. We'll take you. All right. Have a good night, everybody.